Hi, this is Graham Jeacocke. Now, there's an American pianist called Josh Wright, and I remember he said something in one of his videos. He said, you'll find that technical pianists or great pianists, I can't remember how he worded it, they were good at what they do, were very loving people. And I have to say, that is absolute rubbish. Because while all these pianists and musicians in general are saying there is an absolute standard that music must adhere to, you will find that very few musicians in their personal lives will be sufficiently loving to others. Because classical music and even other forms of music, there is a segregation of people. You see, we should be one in music. You know, in Christianity, we are one in Christ. And in music, we should be one in music. But no, we let our elitism dictate how influential music can be for society. And that is why people scoff classical musicians. And why classical musicians scoff other forms. You might have individuals within each type of music, and they like the other types of music, but on the whole there is a overwhelming dislike. You see, the problem Josh doesn't understand is, you see, musicians are all very well to say music should have an absolute perfection. No one should play a wrong note. No one should. This is discipline. This is like the army regiment. You know how the officers say, "You shall do this. You shall do that," and the army works as one unit. And there is a good. There is learning to be there's learning that there's something in music and how classical musicians look at music, but unfortunately how they do it is very flawed, because they do not look after the ones who do not reach that standard. They get tossed. Like Jesus was talking to the Jews, they said, if you do not obey the law, you will be cast into Gehenna. Now, the musicians such as Josh Wright and all these scholars and classical pianists, they say, you will be thrown into musical Gehenna if you don't perform to the standard that we set. The problem Josh does not want to face is these musicians. Have they ever been questioned about how their love has not reached perfection? You see, it's all very well saying they've reached perfection in music, but unless they've reached perfection in love, then there's going to be an unbalance of harmony in the world. You see, what is Josh actually defining love in a musician? He's saying great pianists love. I mean, do they love people because they're getting adulation for their hard work? It's like the song from Fleetwood Mac. Players only love you when they're playing. Because fans sometimes go into their personal lives and invade. But when they're on stage, well, that's what it's all about for them. So the players love the fans. Now, musicians love the fans when they're getting credit for their music. But do they truly love people when they're not in that condition? That's the question. Anyway, I don't mean to take anything away from Josh Wright. He's a great musician and a great person. Just some people you need to worm your way into their opinions because you need to understand it in a greater sense. You need to have a greater sense of understanding what a person is saying. I mean, people can spout off 1,000 words a day, but unless you really understand where the person is coming from, you can misinterpret the person. And sometimes a person can be flippant with remarks and it doesn't give an overall truth for how that person behaves. And one example is Paul McCartney talking about the death of John Lennon. He was taken by surprise, and the comment he gave was not representative of his true state of feelings for John and the overall situation. Anyway, I've rattled on long enough. As always, enjoy yourselves.